Hello again, children. It is I, Wilbur Polyester, Sockfinder General, here today in an unofficial capacity as a simple, although very, very valuable disseminator of information. Information regarding the mysterious movements of one Mr. Clyff Hanga. Now, as you might all too readily imagine, my sock-finding activities, otherworldly as they are, often lead me to many different kinds of strange and unlikely events, a goodly portion of which are sock unrelated and therefore out of my jurisdiction as a sock finder. Such as those, for example, surrounding the peculiar Mr. Hanga. But these things I still follow, out of both professional and personal curiosity. Now, you may already know some of this tale, specifically that it centers on an unhappy young girl called Katie. Now, why was she unhappy? She was unhappy because she'd had to move to a new town after her father had lost his job. Thus, she was friendless and feeling lonely. The only familiar face, a strange, sad clown that roamed through the town. To make matters worse, all of this had occurred in the run-up to Katie's birthday, and so, on the day itself, her parents both having left her to her own devices, she was not feeling in a particularly celebratory mood. However, her solitude was soon disturbed by the arrival of a most uncanny stranger in a fine purple silk suit, Mr. Clyff Hanga. Now, Mr. Clyff Hanga, he was half dragon on his daddy's side, meaning he could breathe fire from his nostrils, and though he could not fly, he was able to float some. And he'd noticed that she was feeling blue, and had decided to cheer her up by taking her for a ride in his floating sports car to get a better look at her new town. And now it was while that they were floating over the forest that they noticed a clearing in which that sad, sad clown himself sat all by himself. Mr. Hanga then informed Katie that the clown was, in fact, his very own half-brother. Excuse me. Now, upon landing, Katie saw that the clown, far from sad, was actually quite happy, and it was just his makeup made him appear so glum. Now the clown, whose name was Clyff Hanga, was very happy to see his brother, as he had learned some interesting news that there was a secret on the other side of the forest that had to do with their mother. A mother that neither of them really knew. Clyff explained that an anonymous message spoke of a castle across a wide, mermaid-filled lake on the other side of the forest, and that in that castle was someone who knew how to find their mother. The journey through the forest would be dangerous, he said, but with Clyff and Katie by his side, well, they might have a chance. So off they set, and having managed to escape the painful stings of a swarm of hit mosquitoes, they were just starting to think they were safe when suddenly Katie cried out in alarm. She was sinking in quicksand. "Don't panic," yelled Clyff, looking to one side to see his brother busily knotting together loose vines that had fallen from the trees above. "Not to worry," said Clyff. "We learned about this kind of thing at clown school." Now, even given the urgency of the situation, Clyff could not help but stop for a moment to ponder just exactly what kind of clown school his half-brother had attended. However, Katie's continuing cries quickly shook the purple pimpernel from his reverie and back to the matter at hand. "That makeshift rope ready, Clyff?" he asked hurriedly. "Indeed it is, brother," Clyff replied, dancing a happy jig before tripping over himself in an explosion of confetti. "This is no time for your clowning," admonished Clyff, bending down to retrieve the rope before running towards Katie. Behind him, Clyff honked his nose ruefully. Clyff threw the rope towards Katie, who caught it gratefully. Together, Clyff and Clyff pulled Katy from the quicksand. "Phew," she said with great relief. "Are you okay to go on?" asked Clyff. "I can take you home if you prefer." Now, for all the perils she had encountered so far, Katy was having, well, the best and most exciting day she'd ever had since arriving in this part of the world, and she was not about to give up on this unexpected adventure. "No," she said firmly, "we go forward. Let's find your mother." "You're a brave girl, Katy," said Clyff. And Hiff pulled an infinite string of handkerchiefs from his left ear in agreement. They set off again. "Do you have any dragon powers, Hiff?" Katy asked the clown. "No," said Hiff. "We're half-brothers, remember? I was just a baby when Mother met Clyff's father. Clyff was born 1 year later." "What happened to your mother?" asked Katy. The brothers became serious, as you might imagine. "We don't know," said Clyff. "Shortly after I was born, she vanished. She'd gone out for her usual morning walk and didn't come back. We searched and searched, but there was no sign. And Father, well, he suspected magic. About the only thing we know about Mother is that she was magical in some way," said Hiff. "That's why I can do some of the things that I can do." "Like the hankies," said Katy. "Yeah," said Hiff. "And this." Katy watched amazed as Hiff pinched his right elbow and caused a chocolate milkshake to appear out of thin air. "They don't teach that in clown school," he said. "About that," began Clyff, but stopped suddenly. "Uh-oh." What is it?" Katy asked worriedly. "We're gonna have to go through that." Clyff pointed at the impossibly huge expanse of a wheat field. "How can that be in the forest?" Katy wondered aloud. "This is no ordinary forest," said Hiff. "And that wheat field is a problem." "Why?" "I'm allergic," said Clyff. "And if you've ever seen a dragon sneeze, well, you'll know why that's a problem." "Can't we use Hiff's hankies to block your nose?" asked Katy. "That's good thinking," said Clyff. "But it's not so easy to block dragon nostrils, even half-dragon nostrils." "We could go around it," suggested Katy. "Not this wheat field," said Hiff. "This is an enchanted wheat field. No going round it unless you want to be circling forever. Only way through it is, well, through it." "Not over it?" said Katy. "If I could fly properly, fast, like a dragon, yes," said Clyff. "But I can only float. That's too slow." "So really," said Katy, thinking it over, "this just comes down to a question of speed." She scratched her chin thoughtfully. "Just how powerful are your sneezes, Clyff?" Clyff grinned. "I think I can see where you're going with this." "What?" said Hiff. "Where is she going? What's she talking about?" "Rocket power," roared Clyff, clapping his hands together in delight. "We need some kind of barrel," he said. "A barrel?" said Hiff, confused as to how a drink would help. "For the body of the rocket," said Katy, "with a hole at the bottom." "For my nose to go through," said Clyff. "Then, quick as I can, I'll stick my head in the field, take the biggest breath I can, jump in the barrel, and sneeze through the hole. The force should propel me right across the field." "And you and I can just walk through ourselves first," Katy told Hiff. "That's genius," said Hiff, hopping up and down on a unicycle that had appeared from nowhere. "Then we're almost there. On the other side of the field is Mermaid Lake, and across that, the castle." "We still need to find a barrel first," said Clyff. "I have one," groaned a completely new voice from behind them. The three companions jumped in shock and span around, finding themselves faces to face with a giant, miserable creature that looked something like a badly put-together plasticine sculpture of an orangutan. No, no, cried Hiff. A grumble troll. We're doomed. Is it gonna eat us? Katie asked, seriously worried. Worse, said Clyff. Katie looked puzzled. Worse than being eaten? And then the grumble troll spoke again. But first, you're gonna have to listen to me complain about my leg. Hiff started crying. But I don't understand, said Katie. No one survives a grumble troll mole, said Clyff, shaking his head in despair. By the time it's finished moaning, it'll have complained us into useless puddles of mud. Hiff's right. We're finished. And that, children, is all I know. But I have it on good authority that more information is on the way. And just as well, I'm not sure I could concentrate on finding missing socks if I'm left wondering about the fates of Clyff, Hiff, and Katie. There's only so much suspense a person can take. So stay tuned to this channel, my young friends. Stay tuned. This is Wilbur Polyester bidding you farewell and grumble-free dreams. Peace out.